The satellite communications industry has undergone tremendous expansion and change in the last few years, spurring more growth than ever in the space domain. In this interview, 7-time Wash100 Award winner Dave Wajsgras, CEO of Intelsat, spoke with us about major market trends and the future of the satellite industry. If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you'd like to be interviewed, email summer@executivemosaic.com. Hello, and welcome to Executive Mosaic's video interview series. I'm Summer Myatt, and here to speak with me today is Dave Wajsgras, CEO of Intelsat. Dave, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Summer. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
So Dave, to start, can you give us an overview on the state of the space domain and specifically satellite communications? What are the big trends that you see shaping the industry right now?
Sure. So the industry has been around for many years, upwards of 50, 60, 70 years, depending on what your starting point is. More recently, I'd say 5, 6 years ago, plus or minus, the industry started to really transform with what we call new space companies. And think of those as companies that operate in what we call low Earth orbit, the orbit that's closest to Earth by definition, and bringing new capabilities online to support multiple different industries and people around the world. A lot of folks have heard of Starlink, an Elon Musk company. Amazon is launching Kuiper, which will be a direct competitor in the low Earth orbit, offering very similar capabilities, in some cases more, in some cases less. There's a company called Intelsat, which is based out of Canada, also a communications company that operates in low Earth orbit. But importantly, you have the foundational companies where Intelsat has been a standout for many, many years, operating in another orbit, and I won't get into all the physics and the math. What I will say is that we are the largest geostationary satellite communications company in the world. When you look at us in combination from a space perspective, where we have 58 satellites on orbit, in conjunction with an extremely large terrestrial network. So think fiber, cable, teleports around the world. We not only provide the strongest and highest quality satellite communications, but we are also the largest player from an industry perspective.
Dave, as you mentioned, we have seen a major expansion of the commercial presence in space in recent years. What kind of impacts are you seeing from that shift, and how do you see it playing out into the future?
There are a lot of new companies entering the industry, and what was happening side by side with that is there's a lot of new demands being put on the satellite communications industry. So these two elements converged at about the same time. So governments around the world, think military, think intelligence community, think civilian agencies, not only in the United States, but globally, it's what I call demand pull, are demanding more capabilities and are demanding more from an industry that at the same time is growing its capabilities, growing its technologies, and offering more to these customers and other customers on the commercial side around the world. So commercial aviation. Years back, nobody could connect by phone when you were on a commercial airline. Today, if you can't, it becomes a big deal. It's probably worth noting that Intelsat is the largest provider of Wi-Fi communications for the commercial airline industry around the world. From a government standpoint, we're also the largest provider of bandwidth of any company in the industry. So Intelsat is now partnering with LEO providers, and again, think new space, think commercial companies that traditionally haven't participated in that industry. We are, from a combination standpoint, are now offering what we call multi-orbit capabilities. We are partnering with a company called OneWeb, which is now part of Intelsat. We are partnering with other LEO providers to offer government capabilities around, primarily in the US, but now we're starting to see a lot of interest from some of our closest allies around the world. And we are about to field a multi-orbit antenna, which would make it seamless for users to have ubiquitous and highly secure communications anywhere in the world, first and foremost in the United States. Again, not only with respect to military, but with respect to commercial aviation, with respect to networks, where we recently won an important contract with a telco, an MNO, okay, a mobile network operator, where we provide multi-orbit capabilities for backhaul purposes, meaning that you never lose connection irrespective of where cell towers are located or where fiber is already in the ground. A lot of things going on. We are at the forefront of a lot of these new offerings, and I can get more into that in just a couple of minutes.
Dave, you mentioned you're seeing a demand pull from government agencies on the satellite communications industry. What exactly are those demands? Where does government need more or better capabilities?
The world is a dangerous place, and no more so than today with the geopolitical events going on around the world. The people that do this for a living, that are in the uniform or supporting people in uniform, have known for a number of years that ultimately they will truly require ubiquitous, secure communications around the world that works anytime, anywhere, wherever it's required. Today, frankly, we don't have that. That's one of the biggest demands on companies like Intelsat to provide going forward. We basically have the capability today. We're supplying that type of capability and technology to governments around the world. But again, the reason we see that as a big growth area for the company, frankly, is based on geopolitical events that are happening today and will happen, for the foreseeable future. It's just the way the world works.
Dave, earlier you mentioned Intelsat is a major player in the geo space. Can you expand upon Intelsat's role in the current market, and what programs, initiatives, and capabilities are you prioritizing right now?
Sure. So we have been historically at the leading edge of offering new capabilities in the satellite communication space. No pun intended. So today we are very focused on partnering with MNOs and telecommunications companies around the world rolling out 5G. We're actually considered by virtually everyone in the industry to be at the forefront of working with these other companies to roll out 5G and make it operable everywhere and anywhere. In addition, we're doing a lot with what we call virtualization, and that's in its most simple form. Think of it as replacing hardware with software. We're doing that with both our space assets and our terrestrial assets. So a lot of things going on there. We consider these, again, firsts, and Intelsat being at the forefront.
So based on the trends we've been talking about, where are you seeing new growth opportunities for Intelsat?
So we operate across multiple different industries, or verticals, as some people would term them, all over the world. We're a very global company. I would say our highest growth markets would be government, and I won't repeat what I said a few minutes ago, but it's across all elements of government. I would say aviation, and it's not just commercial aviation, it's also business aviation and military aviation. they're probably from a 3 to 5 year perspective, the top of the growth profile for Intelsat. Importantly, we're also growing in what we call networks. European companies will call it data, and that's where we support telecoms or MNOs around the world. In fact, this will be the first year that Intelsat grew in that vertical in well over a decade.
Wow, that's very exciting. Dave, I'm curious, which emerging technologies do you anticipate will be most impactful in space and satellite communications in the next few years?
Sure. So today we already have what we call a multi-orbit antenna or terminal that operates from a ground perspective that is now being used primarily in the military. In the back half of 24, we will be using similar terminals that operate basically in the airspace. We've won some important contracts with major commercial airlines, for example, Air Canada and Alaska Airlines, for a multi-orbit offering whereby their customers, the flying public, including myself, and I'm sure you, will have better and higher quality connectivity than we've all had in the past. And that is resonating across the entire commercial airline industry and the business aviation industry. The next step is to take those terminals and operate what we call multi-band. That's a little further out. And again, without getting into all the physics, it gives the end user, and think the consumer at the end of the day, better connectivity and the ability to have broader connectivity around the world for whatever application they're using it for.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time today and for all the work you do at Intelsat.
Of course.